I'm not going to lie, this card took a lot of time and it has a lot of tiny little pieces. And I honestly wasn't sure if it was worth it. But by the end, I had one of the most fun, relaxing, and special cards that I had ever made. And today, I'm going to show you exactly how it came together. Hi, I'm Jeannie Scott. Welcome to the Upper Craft Room, where we make a mess and create something beautiful out of it. For this card, I'm using the Candy Christmas Collection die set. It's a really intricate set with lots of little pieces, which might feel a little bit overwhelming at first, but once you start putting it together, it's actually very relaxing and a lot of fun. I'll walk you through how I approach it and how everything comes together. Before we get started, I wanted to show you that Spellbinders on their website has this diagram to the set, because the set is a very intricate set. And how I organize this set on my magnet where I store it is I put it in the groupings of what they were. So if you see the box cars, I see all you'll see all the grouping there, everything that goes with the box cars and the cake pieces. So I put that all together, and I did the same thing with the train. So all the train pieces are together. That way I knew what went with what when I went to go cut this out. And I have this link below so that you'll be able to find this diagram easily. All right, so now I have all of the pieces cut out, and I'm just going to start coloring them up. And like I said, I'm using very non-traditional colors here. It's a funny thing that when I recorded this probably, I don't know, 2 months ago, whenever Spellbinders came out with this collection, but it wasn't Christmas, and I just wasn't in the Christmas spirit. So I don't use traditional colors when I have to make cards and it's not close to Christmas. But the closer I get to Christmas, the more traditional colors I use. It's really funny how this works. But I really like how this train come out. And honestly, Spellbinders didn't use traditional colors, and I just kind of followed their theme for what they used and how they created their card. So here you'll see that I'm just placing all the pieces, and I know exactly what goes with what because of the way I cut them out, and then I group them together after I cut them onto that stack, what I guess that's called a stackable. That's a Spellbinder stackable, by the way. It makes things very easy to keep things grouped together and separated from, pieces that they don't go with. So anyway, I am just coloring these out, and I really am enjoying the whole candy process because I'm creating this to look like just a big candy train. Like the train itself is colored to look like a gingerbread cookie. Then the other pieces are just candies, and the jars are created. Remember like the soda pop shops? I don't know if you'll remember this or not. I'm older, so I'm assuming my following is older from what I gather. But they used to have these soda pop shops. And this whole train set kind of reminded me of these soda pop shops where they had the candy jars and the stools and the countertop that you sat at when you drink your shakes. I mean, I was born in 65, so they were going out as I was growing up, but they were still around for a little while. So for the wheels and some of the other pieces, I wanted it to look like frosting. So I used white, Hero Arts white embossing powder. It's really super fine embossing powder. And I don't know if you know this or not, but when you're heat embossing, you can heat it up just like I'm doing here. But while it's still wet, if you dip it back in the powder, you can get several layers of that heat of the embossing powder, and keep heating that up, and it'll just create that thicker layer. So that's what I did here, so I could really build up that embossing powder to create that frosting effect. And now it's time to start putting all the pieces together, and I'm going to use this Tim Holtz mixed media mat to glue everything on. It's very thin, very workable, and it cleans up nicely, and glue doesn't stick to it. It comes off very easily, so I'm just going to use that. And I'm putting together the box cars with the cake pieces on it. And I don't end up using these in the card because I created an A2 size card, but I wanted you to be able to see how these came together and how cute they are. And this set's very therapeutic. If you like putting puzzles together, or when I was a little girl, I liked playing with paper dolls, this set just totally took me back to when I was little. And I remember playing with the paper dolls, and I loved putting all those pieces together. And this set really reminded me of that, and it was just so much fun to put together. Very therapeutic and fun, all around fun. Definitely not a quick and easy simple card. So if you're looking for quick and easy, this is not the set. But everything that I'm using in this video is linked down below. And if you're enjoying this video, would you please go ahead and give it a like? It'll help me out, it'll help my channel out, and it'll show YouTube that people are liking the video, so therefore it'll push it out to others to watch it as well. I would be very grateful if you would consider doing that for me. Now, while I was putting this together, I forgot to put the wheels on. At least I forgot to do it on camera. So the frosting didn't get put to these boxcar cake pieces. However, like I said, I didn't end up using them anyway, so it didn't really matter. I created an A2 size card, so that's why these didn't work on the card itself. That just wasn't big enough. The card base wasn't to fit everything on. So I think though, if I would have used an A7 or probably a slimline would have definitely worked. That would have worked out better and I would have been able to use those box cars. But here I am just putting the wheels on the train, and the train pieces, the wheel pieces are what I created to have frosting on them. However, I did add the red little swirly pieces to it, which made it look like mints, those mint candies, which I thought was a lot of fun. I'm using the Barely Arts Precision Glue to glue everything down. I just really like it because it's strong, it's clear, and it dries fast. And it's really good for paper crafts. There are other glues that I like, but this is the one that I use most of the time. I'm also using a pair of tweezers to pick everything up and glue it down to keep my fingers out of the way so I can see exactly where to place things so that I don't get things all wonky in the placement part of this whole card making process. You'll also notice that I'm using a stamping block after I glue things to hold it down so that it gives the glue time to adhere to the cardstock. I know this video is sped up quite a bit, but I wanted you to be able to see everything that went into making this card. And here things start to get a little tricky because these are where all the tiny pieces start going on. But the tiny pieces are what really makes this card pop. So it makes it very interesting and gives it a ton of dimension and a lot of interest too because of all these little tiny intricate pieces. But you'll notice like that lid going on the front and then the frosting over there. A lot of it gets layered over and you wouldn't even know it was there. But I think that's what makes this card so special. Now here's the part where I get confused. I think, do I cut this out? Do I leave this in? And so I'm going to test this and leave this in because I think it's important that you see how all the pieces actually get applied to the train and how it all comes together. And I also know it can be very boring. So it's really, if you don't want to watch it, you can skip ahead and just go to, I guess, the 9-minute mark. And that way you can get past all this. However, if you want to know how the pieces come together, oh, by the way, this is the part that reminds me of the candy shop. I mean, not the candy shop, like the soda pop shops from when I was a little girl, is these little candy jars right here, which I'm assuming these are like the smokestacks for a train, how a train, you know, locomotive. I don't know. I know what I'm trying to say. I don't know how to put it into words. Anyway, this is the part that reminded me of the soda pop shops. So anyway, back to what I was saying. I don't ever know if this is like too much or not enough, or, you know, I get confused here. But I think it's important that you know how this card comes together so that if you do buy this set, you'll at least have some kind of direction. And all I'm doing is following the diagram. You do have the diagram on Spellbinders, although it's not a visual of how it actually comes together like watching a video is. But it does help very much. So go ahead and make sure you click that link because that will take you to the diagram and that will show you how all the pieces actually come together. You know, each piece, it goes into detail. So now as we're finishing up this train, isn't that just so cute? I really do love all the intricate pieces because it really does make it pop. But there's just some things that are just so special. There's really not words for it. So anyway, now the trains come together. In the next segment, we are going to start building out our card base. And I'm going to use the Simon Hurley. This is like Sparkling Snow, I think it's called. I don't remember exactly, but I'll have it linked in the description below. But I decided I want to go ahead and put some ink down on the flat side, the recessed side of the embossing folder, because I want to make sure that I get ink down in the recessed side. But I want the snowfall, the snowflakes, to be white rather than pink, so I wanted to keep those white. And I think it turned out super cool. I loved using techniques like this because it just adds that extra thing that you can do with embossing folders that you really wouldn't have thought of. You know, I didn't think of that until I seen a video on it, and I just absolutely love that. Now here I'm scoring an A2 size card, and I am using the Spellbinders. These are now called Essentials. They used to be called nesting dies. Actually, I think these are still called nesting dies. But anyway, I popped that out, and I'm going to go ahead and glue it down to the card base. I don't think I glued it yet there. It doesn't look glued to me yet. Now I'm gluing it. Okay. And then I'm taking that. This is from the border die down below there that I'm getting ready to glue on top, is from the Candy collection, Candy Christmas collection border dies. And I'm cutting it the same size as I did my embossed panel there, and that is actually going to be the road that the train is going to sit on. And now here, you know, I was trying to figure out how I could get those box cars on, but it just wasn't going to work with this. It was going to hang over way too much. So now I'm bringing in the better press plate, because Spellbinders doesn't really have stamps that go with this, and so I'm using better press plates to create a bunch of sentiments, because this is an all-in-one sentiment. Well, it's a press plate, but also you die cut after you get the press plate stamped out, then you cut those out with the all-in-one die, which is there at the top, and it just disappeared. Okay, so anyway, I'll show you that in just a second, but here I'm just running the better press plate through, or the better press system through, and now I'm pulling that off, and you'll see how all of those, I got some ink at the bottom, but that doesn't matter because I'm going to cut those out. And now I'm using those dies, and see, it just cuts them all out at once. And I want to tape that down because I want those to be centered, and I don't want that to cut outside of where I placed it. So I'm taping it down so that the die itself doesn't shift. And now you're going to see all of those sentiments fall out of the die. And it's just super cool because you don't have to create those one at a time. You can do a bunch of them. So now I'm using the Sentiment Special Delivery. I thought it was apropos. And that better press plates, those don't come with this. I'll have those linked. I forgot which collection they come with, but it doesn't matter. I mix my collections up anyway. Now I'm using foam tape to pop up the train and give it even more dimension as if it needs it. But I just really wanted the wheels to go over the top of the border die down there that's going to be the road. I didn't want it to be flat to the card. I wanted it to look like it was actually, you know, lifted up from the road so it looks realistic. It's a very playful card. It's fun. It's not hard once you know how to put all the pieces together. It's just very therapeutic, very fun to put together. The white sentiment would have been fine actually, but I decided to go ahead and pop up the sentiment, but I edged it with some pink to match the card with just a finger dauber, and now I'm just using little foam squares, the tiniest ones ever, and they work great. And that finishes up our card. Isn't that the sweetest card ever? I just love how that turned out. Do you like to create intricate cards like these, or do you like the easy, simple cards? Let me know in the comments. Hey, thank you so much for spending time with me today and watching this video. If you enjoyed this video and found value in it, please give it a like so that YouTube will tell other card makers about it. Subscribe so you never miss a video, and hit the bell so that you get notified every time we put one out. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next video.